I'm Brita, webmistress of the dark. Today I'm going to show you how to make my haunted headstones. Those are realistic looking foam gravestones you can use to decorate either inside or outside your house, especially for a nice spooky graveyard. First, what you have to do, figure out what gravestones you're going to make. I have photographed graveyards in various countries for inspiration, and I save those pictures. They're beautiful art just to appreciate in amongst themselves, but you can also use them then for Halloween party decoration inspiration. So I went through this year, decided I wanted to make some new characters that I have found that I like, and I made epitaphs for them, researched some dates where I could, and decided on the styles for those gravestones. And so here's a couple I have. I printed out the fonts on scratch paper so I could use those as inspiration, and then I sketched the gravestone shape around. So this is just a general idea, so now I know what I'm going to do. For instance, here for Penny we're going to have flanking angels, and for Emily there's going to be an angel going right on the top center there. Now the angels I have found on clearance after Christmas. These I found for super cheap. Here's a couple pair of flanking angels. I think I found these for $1 each or maybe less. You want to get it as lightweight as possible because then they won't weigh down your foam gravestones. If you have something that's a decoration that's too heavy on the top, you might make it top heavy and it might be harder to keep upright in your graveyard. So I think I like these smallest ones for Penny's gravestone this year. As you can see, they were $2.99 regular price, and I got them for a lot less than that. You don't have to worry about what they look like now because you're going to be painting them the same color as your gravestone basic stone color and then aging them so they'll all blend in so it looks like carved stone. Once you have your gravestones designed, then you know how much foam you're going to need to carve them. So next we'll go and see what scraps of foam I have left over and see how big and what sizes we can make for these new gravestones. Here we have all the sorts of styrofoam that I've been saving because I know I always make something out of stuff. So instead of recycling nice sheets of foam packing material like this, I save them. And this is too thin to make a gravestone out of because it's not going to support itself standing upright in a graveyard, but it'll be perfect for surface decorations on the gravestones instead of making such recessed carving. So we're going to keep those out. This is a nice chunk of the tight blue foam. This is perfect for carving, but I can't find it very often at my home improvement stores. This I think I rescued out of some neighbor's trash at one point, and I kept it on hand. What I have a lot of is this foam pellet, the pressed pellet insulation foam. You can find it just about any major home improvement store. It comes in 4-foot by 8-foot sheets, so it's kind of difficult to take home unless you have a big vehicle. I saved this piece from previous Halloween. You can see at the edge it looks like pipe organ pipes. That's because this used to be a section of my old pipe organ that I'm not using anymore. So now it's going to be recycled into gravestones. We have plenty here for 4 new gravestones, so next I'll show you how to sketch them out, lay them out, and start cutting. Since I want to make sure the size is appropriate for the angels I decided to use for decoration, I've laid out the angels and I've already sketched out the gravestone I'm going to use for Penny. And now I'm going to do the 2 more out of this, and then I'll do Emily out of the blue. Here I've gone ahead and sketched all the gravestones already, so they're ready for cutting. I use a felt tip pen because I don't want anything harder tip than that, because a harder tip would actually carve into the foam when you're sketching. Since you're sketching curves on and things like that, you don't want to make a mark and embed a mark in where you don't want it later. The black is no problem because you'll be able to paint over that when you paint the gray surface of your gravestones. So go ahead and sketch everything. You might want to give yourself some guidelines to make a symmetrical design. If you really want to be perfectly symmetrical, you can always sketch the 1/2 out on paper first and then flip it over to trace it to the other side. Since a lot of these gravestones were all hand carved back in ancient times for the really old gravestone looks, so since they were hand carved, you're probably going to have some variations, so I don't usually worry about it that much. Extra aging and character, it's all good, right? So now that I've sketched all these on, I'm going to show you how I cut them. To cut the gravestones, you can use a serrated kitchen knife It's easy enough, but it will make your hand tired and it's hard to be accurate. What's a lot easier to use is an electric knife. I picked this up at a garage sale for just a couple dollars, so if you can find one or if you have one around your house, it'll make your life a lot easier. So to cut them, you can see how cutting a straight line is no problem. You just take the line that you've drawn and you go ahead and cut down the line, squeaky squeaky against the styrofoam. Okay, so your edge is not the best, but for the bottom of the gravestone that's not a big deal. However, to cut a curve, the electric knife is a lot easier. Not only is it easier, you get a much cleaner edge. You'll still have to clean up some of the pellets off of it, but that's a lot smoother than cutting it by hand with a serrated knife. I'm going to go and cut the rest of these apart from each other, clean up a little of the edges, and I'll show you what's next. When you come to a spot like this with a curve and a point again, it's a lot easier to take the curve out first, then start again with the next straight corner. Just like this. When you come to a weak spot, you might want to hold both sides that you're cutting so you don't have it break off under the pressure of the electric knife. Now here, I fumbled a little and the knife slipped, so I have a little divot. I can just curve that, smooth it out with the electric knife. Don't want to be the way of it. You just change your design slightly from the original intent. If you have a tight curve, you might have to go a little slower and be a little more patient. Here you can see what I mean about your knife going at an angle. You can see how it's not quite as straight as you'd like. So you might want to clean that up a little. Sometimes might flex under the electric knife, but most of the time it'll be pretty good. So go ahead and do like you were cutting the other foam. So that fits pretty well. I'm going to go ahead and make 2 strips down the sides and miter those together so it looks like it's intentional. And one thing I've already done that I wanted to show you, if I could stand up, is that I did already make sure the angels fit in my other foam. I still have to do surface raised design for this one, but I have notched little bits into the foam to make sure I have enough glue points for my angels to stick on permanently. And I want to make sure you glue them before you paint them, even though that might make it hard to fill in the crevices behind, because you don't want to glue over the paint because it may just come off with the paint. Here I have all the surface foam decorations ready to glue on. Everything's cut, everything's arranged where it needs to go, and the angels are recessed, so there's plenty of spots for the glue to hold. This one is going to go right up in the top there, and this one's not going to have any foam glued on for surface. It's all going to be carved with the wood burning tool. Boy, what a mess! We've been cutting so much foam that we have foam scraps and little foam pellets everywhere. That's why I do this outside, so it's a much easier job to clean up. Next time, tune in where we'll be gluing everything on the gravestones, all the decorations, as well as starting to carve our gravestones. I hope you've enjoyed watching today. For more projects like this, you can buy my book, Eerie Elegance, at eerieelegance.com. I hope you have a fabulous Halloween and happy haunting!